Dick Van Dyke and Debbie Reynolds find more problems than they expected when they decide to go it alone in Divorce American Style.
Hi, I'm Janet Zapala, and welcome to Trade Secrets. Divorce American Style takes a comedic look at the ups and downs, mostly downs, of America's great institution, marriage. The film stars Debbie Reynolds and Dick Van Dyke as they go through the perils of life after divorce. Director Bud Yorkin fills us in.
We were making a statement in those days that, divorce was a lot different than it is today, you know. And so everybody ran to get their, empty out the safety deposit box. There was really nothing one could say about that. So what we had to do was devise a scene where you see where one was coming in, one was already there, they were barely missing each other. And then at the very end, to put what's known as the tag onto the scene is when they both see each other for the first time. And quite honestly, there was just nothing written. So we had to, once we thought we had got the scene working right, or at least had an idea for it, I didn't know any other way to finish it. We'd seen the picture Divorce Italian Style, and Norm and I did, and even though it had nothing to do with real divorce, we thought, got to be a wonderful, nobody has really examined divorce in America. And it also so happened that at that time, Norman Lear, that is, was going through a divorce. So he was able to write a lot of this from his own experiences. While we were rehearsing that moment, somebody came up with the idea, either myself or Norman Lear at that time, what if we looked and see if we could try to do something more than just going to bed, and then all of us chipped in to find out what we did when we got angry and what would be funny. So it was then kind of a piece that Dick contributed to and Debbie contributed to, and I think we called upon our life experiences with our wives or whatever it was to put that together.
See, you're going to have some bitterness, aren't we? Huh?
That script was so well written, it was not easy to deviate, because each one of those scenes, I thought that Norm and I had played with it, and it was his script, but we had played with it for so much, for so long, that by the time, it was really a well-honed piece of material.
Your dining room's pretty good, too. Ever try the steak tartare at Hillside? We can't touch the lobster Louis at Longview. Why don't we get a foursome together some weekend? Yeah. 18 holes, a little lunch, huh? Well, it's a date. Well, you folks ready to continue now?
You'll be laughing at the funniest story that you've ever heard on the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. Let yourself go. It's hysterical. The funniest story you've ever heard before in your life.
That was a tough scene because we used the Pat Collins, and she is truly a hypnotist. And what happened was that everybody was getting hypnotized, including the cameraman, the operator was hypnotized, and I would be watching a scene, and the guy would be, and she'd say 1, 2, 3, everybody head down. He'd drop his head. He was hypnotized. And it got a little nervous for all of us because I couldn't get through the day because so many of those people were hypnotized on the set, and our own people who had a difficult time not being hypnotized.
All right, now, when I count to 3, all of you on the stage are going to continue your exotic bumps and grinds. 1, 2, and 3.
And the scene that Debbie did, she was the only one in that whole scene, or maybe there were 2 other people, that wasn't hypnotized. She acted it. Debbie never did get hypnotized in that. But everybody else on that stage was totally, they were volunteers, came up on the stage and bang, she hypnotized them in like 30 seconds like she did in the picture. I've always liked this picture. It's one of my favorite pictures. I think it had something to say, and I thought there were really, by and large, some wonderful, wonderful acting in the piece. So as I remember, it's one of the pictures I'm more proud of than others that I might have done.
It's also interesting to know that Bud Yorkin and writer Norman Lear wanted Dick Van Dyke for this role so much they waited for a full year before he was available to make the film. That does it for this edition of Trade Secrets. I'm Janet Zapala. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
He has walked through centuries, untouched by time. He has seen empires rise and fall. He possesses the wisdom of the ages. Throughout eternity, no man has ever provoked such terrible fear and such haunting desire. Dracula, starring Frank Langella, with Laurence Olivier.
I am the last of my kind, descended from a conquering race. But I must warn you to take good care. If at any time my company does not please you, you will have only yourself to blame.
Oh, God! Help my poor soul!
Dracula, the story of the greatest lover who ever lived, died, and lived again.
Sacrilege!
Dracula.
Coming this month.
Welcome to Encore's Premium Preview, a sneak peek at what you can see coming up on the premium channels available on your system. Coming soon on HBO. A hijacker learns there's quite a fearless fly in the ointment.
You ever play roulette?
On occasion.
Let me give you a word of advice. Always bet on black.
Wesley Snipes is Passenger 57. The only way to catch a break in this family is to do a little fly fishing.
Montana, there are 3 things we're never late for: church, work, and fishing.
A river runs through it. And a group of young veterans must decide if they're willing to take a flyer on their German counterparts in a midnight clear.
Mother! Under fire!
Coming soon on Showtime. Virginia Madsen finds that at least one urban myth may well be true.
I came for you.
Do I know you?
Candyman. A talented group of troubleshooters finds that even our government doesn't always play fair.
Oh my God.
How is this possible?
It's not about who's got the most bullets. It's about who controls the information.
Robert Redford, Sneakers. And some people find that they may become permanent passengers in the Showtime 30-minute movie, Under the Car.
We're not drunk. We're not crazy. There's something dangerous under the car. No, don't!
Coming soon on the Disney Channel, focusing on the people who live in a small town on Prince Edward Island. It's an all-new season of the award-winning Avonlea.
When things are turning glum, get off your derriere. Take your sweetie skating. You'll feel a lot merry air.
Showing how to paint the town in a truly constructive way, it's Kids Incorporated.
People, you can't stop the boom.
And a scientist child goes to town in a really big way when Rick Moranis stars in Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. Coming soon on Cinemax, a pair of mismatched cops sets out to catch themselves a killer in Delta heat.
What, are you stuck?
A singer rediscovers a musical match made in heaven when George Strait stars in Pure Country.
So you really can't play that thing, huh?
And a would-be secret agent learns he may just be a little overmatched.
Wait a second, no practice rounds?
Doesn't do you any good. No one's ever made it out of this room alive.
Corey Haim is the 00 Kid. And coming soon on the Movie Channel with a look back at the upbringing that made a kid a killer. Anthony Perkins stars in Psycho 4, The Beginning.
Tell us about your mother, how she drove you to become what you became.
She always has had and always will have a strong effect on my behavior.
A newly paralyzed person begins to realize that when he looks in the mirror, he doesn't much like what looks back.
I don't feel anything anyway.
Eric Stoltz, Water Dance. And it looks like these folks are living the good life.
I would like to propose a toast to neighbors.
But looks can be deceiving.
You want to make love to my wife, but you're afraid you'll get caught.
You are insane, Eddie.
Consenting adults. Call your local cable operator today to order any of these fine entertainment channels. And stay tuned for Encore's 7-day entertainment forecast.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Dunn. For a preview of what's coming up on Encore, stay tuned to the primetime forecast for the next 7 days.
All that fuss and bother, shaving twice in the same day, all that smiling, all that pretending you're interested in what she's saying.
Must be hell being a great lover.
What do a couple fruity wackos like that want with a couple characters like you and me?
It don't say nothing about you. Don't say nothing about you.
8 million. Cost me $500 in Paris, France, 1946.
Gentlemen, which one of you will be first into space?
This baby gorilla's been sold to a zoo broker.
Yes, I know. I sold it. Just
why?
Money. Lots of it.
How do you suppose she'd feel knowing you was catting around with the sister of the man that killed your little brother? How do you suppose she'd feel, boy?
Danny, you promised to drop me off. I've got to get to L.A.
Ah, come on. You gotta see Las Vegas once in your lifetime, right, Lou?
Yeah, it's exciting.
1967 heard the cries of protest as anti-war demonstrations dominated America's political landscape. People marched, sat, and sang against the war in Vietnam as the peace movement was born. Thousands of miles away, Israel and Arab nations locked horns in what would later be dubbed the Six-Day War. Historic events were also taking place in Washington, as Thurgood Marshall took his oath of office, the first black to be elected to the Supreme Court. On the opposite side of the world, medical history captured the headlines when Christian Bernard performed the first human heart transplant in Cape Town, South Africa. California would host the biggest rock concert to date, when 150,000 fans gathered to listen to the sounds of Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin at the International Monterey Pop Festival. Another singing superstar emerged in 1967, but it wouldn't be Jerry Dorsey until he changed his name to Engelbert Humperdinck. And an American king would break the hearts of women the world over when Elvis Presley married Priscilla Beaulieu. British supermodel Twiggy convinced us that thin was in. In a different kind of fashion statement, Adam West and Burt Ward donned tights and capes in a zowie, biff, bam, holy gadzooks television bonanza known as Batman. 1967, a year when our voices were raised together in protest and song, as we took a leap forward into a new era of political and social changes.
Hi, I'm David Willis for Encore, and we're going to take a trip back in time to 1967, when people didn't get divorced as easily as they do today, and when they did get divorced, it was the man who paid alimony. Remember those days? Well, we'll relive them now in our next feature, Divorce American Style. It stars Dick Van Dyke and Debbie Reynolds as a married couple who decide to split up. After being told his wife gets everything, including most of his paycheck, Van Dyke teams up with some of his buddies to try and make the best of his situation. The fine cast includes Jason Robards, Gene Simmons, Van Johnson, Lee Grant, and Tom Bosby, who became famous a decade later as the father of Richie Cunningham in the TV series Happy Days. This was a departure for Debbie Reynolds from the wholesome girl-next-door role she was used to getting. In fact, she had turned down 20 such parts in the year previous to accepting Divorce American Style, where she got to play someone her own age, 34 at the time. In real life, her divorce from Eddie Fisher had been much publicized when he left her for Elizabeth Taylor. When asked why she was accepting the role of a divorcing woman, she dryly replied, "I've had some experience in this area." Dick Van Dyke, the winner of 3 Emmy Awards, had been known to the public since 1961 on The Dick Van Dyke Show, and this gave everyone a chance to see him stretch a little. Also making an appearance is Pat Collins, the hypnotist who was a very popular cabaret act in the 60s. As a trivia note, the man who plays the divorce court judge was John J. Anthony, who in real life was a very well-known radio and TV marriage counselor. The director was Bud Yorkin, who later directed the films Inspector Clouseau and Start the Revolution Without Me. It was written and produced by Norman Lear, who would later go on to bring you hit TV shows like On the Family, Maude, Good Times, The Jeffersons, and Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. Like a lot of Norman Lear's work, Divorce American Style is very funny, but it also makes a definite statement about life in America. The film received critical acclaim upon its release, prompting one reviewer to call for the reinstating of the Academy Award for Comedy Directing, a category that had been dropped in 1928. I second that motion. It's very funny. Enjoy.